He was
Okay. So last night when the microphone was off, we had a long discussion about politics, which I sort of thought I was not going to do when I decided to come up here for the day, because politics sometimes gets a bit emotional, and I get into political discussions with people, and I suddenly think I shouldn't have done that. But actually, it was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm quite happy to talk about politics, whether I agree or whether I don't agree. I think it's an interesting subject.
Yeah.
And anyway, we both lean slightly left, perhaps you more than me, but we're not that far out.
No, it was good. I really enjoyed it, and there was no kind of desperate disagreements on anything. Really.
No, I enjoy that sort of talk.
I mean, I think when you do get desperate disagreements in a discussion like that, that's what I do find sometimes quite difficult to deal with.
Yeah,
depending, I suppose, on how the other person
handles it. Yes,
yeah.
Because some people can get very het up about it, but
yeah,
I mean, we're obviously all got different opinions.
Yeah.
So, bound to be some disagreements on some things.
Sure. But what I've found with some people is that they'll have a discussion, and they are absolutely no way interested in what you've got to say if it's different to what they believe.
Yeah, I understand.
And what I try to do when I don't know if I succeed, but what I try to do when I have a political discussion is try, even if the other person has a different point of view to me, I try to find out why and try to understand what's making them think that. And I suppose in a way it makes me sound very saintly, I know, and I'm not, but try to learn if there's anything I can learn from that.
Yes, I mean, you've got to, it's no good getting worked up about it. I mean,
I think
bitter arguments, it's just, you've got to, it's good to know other people's viewpoint.
Yeah. I think a lot of people's idea of political argument is as soon as you disagree with them, they just basically slack you off or insult you or try and belittle you.
Well, yes, that's stupid, because inevitably we're going to disagree about something.
Yeah.
Everybody. I mean, nobody can be 100% agree with everybody else. I mean,
no.
It's always be. I agree largely, but.
I mean, I doubt you could probably have two people that even totally agreed about anything, could you?
No, you can't really. You can be fairly near. I think there's usually something that you disagree about.
But anyways,
by the way,
well, it's not not at all really, is it? It's because I was actually really worried about the political thing. I had it on my list of things I wanted to talk to you about, but. Like I said to you, I've tried to talk about it to some people, and it straight away it's like, whoa, a bit prickly. And I suppose religion can do that as well.
Oh, very much so. People get very worked up about religion.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. I wouldn't. I'm sure. Well, on religion, we probably do disagree on a few things, but I wouldn't condemn anybody or argue with anybody about it. You've got to work it, as I always say to people, you've got to work it out for yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So anyway, this morning we started talking again about politics.
Yes.
And I just thought, well, let's just get this, just in case any gems come up. You know, in the unlikely event that one of us does say something interesting.
I will.
Because I remember when I was a kid, and I think you were a member of the Liberal Party, or certainly you were a Liberal supporter.
Because there's friends of ours in Common Road took me to a Liberal meeting.
Right.
And I thought, this sounds sensible.
Right.
Much more sensible than any of the other lot.
Okay.
So from then on, I was already reading the News Chronicle, which is a Liberal paper.
Right.
So it sort of tuned in with what I was used to.
So this would be in the late 50s?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the leader of the Liberal Party at that time was a guy called Joe Grimmond.
Joe Grimmond, yeah, I think it was, yes. That's right.
And that was really the first time I became had any exposure to politics. I didn't know what it meant or what it was or anything.
Well,
I just
no, I
knew
mean,
that
I'd read newspapers for a long time, but I wasn't particularly into much of politics. It was a bit vague,
right,
but I used to read it
right.
and think, well, this sounds all right and sensible or not. You know.
Yeah. So when was the first time you voted then in a general election?
Well, the first time I voted was when I was on the boat to India.
Right.
As I said, my mother voted for me.
Right.
I gave her the proxy, and they always voted Liberal.
Oh, okay. So you come from a Liberal family.
Yeah.
Right. Going way back, or
I don't know.
right.
I don't know what my grandfather would vote or anything.
Right.
I should imagine it's fairly Liberal. I wouldn't know though for sure.
Right. And so then you basically stuck with Liberal Party right
Yes,
through.
right through. Yes, and I went to Liberal meetings and all sorts.
Yeah.
For years.
Right.
And right until the coalition.
Okay. How did you cope with the SDP and the
Well,
then it became the Liberal
yeah, well,
Democrats?
when names don't come to me.
Owen and Shirley Williams and
The main one. There were four of them. weren't
yeah, there were four.
You said them,
David Owen, Shirley Williams, and two others.
Well, anyway, I thought when they came, I thought, well, they're talking a lot of common sense.
Yeah.
That's common sense. And actually, I was talking to, in a post office at one of our tea breaks, I was talking to somebody, and he was talking on the same thing. And so they're talking common sense, and they could easily be Liberals.
Yeah.
But in the end, they joined up with the Liberals.
Yeah, they did.
Hence
Yeah.
the Lib Dems.
Yeah, yeah. What I just can't quite remember now why they was the Labour Party going through some kind of extreme
Yes.
crisis at that point? Was it?
Oh yes,
Neil
the
Kinnock?
Labour Party was going through awful extremes at the time. I don't know what it was all about. I presume it was left and right. And it was
Well, yeah, it would have been, wouldn't it? But I thought Neil Kinnock actually tried to get rid of the left, didn't he? I mean, he was the one who dumped Clause 4.
Yes.
And purged militant and all that.
That's right, yes. I see. Yeah, I never quite got to the bottom of all that.
Anyway, that happened and it became the Liberal Democrats, didn't it, at that point?
Yes.
And I can't remember who the leader was, but at one point you ended up with Charles Kennedy, and I quite liked him.
Oh yes, he was good. He was brilliant. Yes.
No, he was quite left wing, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah, he was one of the best leaders I think we've had. David Steele was one leader.
Oh, David Steele, yeah. Yeah.
That was before, wasn't it? I'm not sure.
And Jeremy Thorpe.
Oh, he was a disaster.
Did you watch the drama of Jeremy Thorpe?
No, I don't think I did. I went and watched a bit of it, I think. But
Yeah.
No, he was disastrous.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Steele's come out with something recently quite controversial and unliberal, hasn't he?
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah. So and then, but nowadays, I'm well into left wing politics.
Yeah.
And I look at the Liberal Democrats and wonder why they exist. Really, I don't want to be.
Yeah. Well, I rejoined the Lib Dems after recently.
Yeah.
But I'm constantly having doubts of whether I really belong there.
Right.
Because I'm more to the left.
Yeah.
I'm leaning more leftwards. But at the moment, that's where I am. But in the Lib Dem party. But
yeah, it was quite telling in the run up to the election that they were openly talking about being able to support the Tories, but wouldn't support Labour under any circumstances.
Yeah, well, because Jeremy Corbyn, they couldn't.
Yeah, they couldn't.
Nobody seems to be able to stand Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah.
It's not that.
No.
I'm say that word, but
Yeah. No, I'll edit that out.
What
Yeah,
did I
difficult.
say? But
he
was the
made
one.
things difficult for people.
He was the difficulty because he appeared to sit on the fence.
Yeah.
In actual, well, he was saying people have to decide for themselves, and
Yeah,
we wouldn't
yeah,
dare
yeah.
come down. And
Yeah,
but I mean, Liberals, to my mind, ought to support Labour and not Conservative. Otherwise, they're not Liberals.
yeah, yeah. That's kind of how I felt about it as well.
Yeah.
And I just and when they did do the coalition, it was just horrendous.
Oh, it was all yes.
They
They
just
did. They said they did it for the best of reasons to save the country, but in actual fact, they did a little bit of modified one or two things, but on the whole, it was a disaster. Wasn't it?
Well,
They said they sort of stopped some of the extreme conservative stuff, but I don't know if they. But it wasn't a good idea. They're tainted.
yeah,
Hence, that's why they've gone downhill so much.
yeah,
They're tainted, like Blair's tainted with Iraq.
yeah,
The Lib Dems are tainted by the Tories.
yeah.
You know,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
my way of looking at it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, here we are, and we've got the most right-wing government that we've ever lived under.
Yes, I know, which is terrifying
And
to me.
similar things going on in other parts of the world.
Yeah,
And
I know.
it's quite an interesting time in politics where
It's interesting, but it's also frightening to my mind. You're optimistic, maybe, but to me, it's quite frightening.
yeah,
But not for me myself, because I'm not going to see much of it, am I? But
I'm not as optimistic as I was a few years ago.
No. Optimism is it's hard to come by sometimes.
I've seen the power of propaganda, and I still can't see how it can be combated. Really,
Yes, I know.
it's pretty scary. I'm with you on that. Yeah.
There was something else we were going to talk about, which was something to do with schooling, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Or did we do that?
I think we did quite a lot about your when you went to the preschool, the seminary,
Yes.
and then your education basically ended.
Yeah, it came. Yes.
Came to an abrupt end.
Yeah.
If you hadn't have done that, what happens after? If you've stuck with that?
Well, in those days, it was called school certificate,
Right.
which is presumably equivalent to A levels.
Right.
Or not.
O level.
Oh, geez.
GCSEs, I think. About 16 you do them?
Yeah, when I was 17.
Oh, right, so maybe it was.
There was no. I don't know how it compares. There was school certificate, and then there was higher certificate.
Yeah, yeah. And
But our classes had funny names. They weren't first, second, third, and fourth. They had fancy names, like Rudiments 1, Rudiments 2, Rudiments 1, Grammar, Syntax, Poetry, and Rhetoric.
Right. Right.
Public school, you know. Oh, I know what we were going to say. Yeah, we were always told we were gentlemen and a cut above.
That's what we were going
You know, that
about,
sort of stuff.
Yes, right.
We was at school assemblies, you know, because it was a public school
Yeah.
and a fee-paying school, obviously.
Yeah.
People only went there if they could pay fees, except for us. We were sponsored by Westminster Diocese. Whether, I suppose those who could afford fees would pay, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure my people couldn't afford any fees, so I think ours must have been
Yeah.
a freebie.
Right.
But so when we had a sort of open day in the summer, what do they call it, a garden party day or something, all these posh people come in their fancy cars
Right.
and all that.
Yeah.
We had to run around serving strawberries and cream and all that. We have a biscuit and all that stuff. It was we used to enjoy that. But,
Yeah.
But it was obviously posh people. But to go back to the point I was going to raise was the junior seminary bit. We weren't fee paying, though presumably some did pay. I don't know, but we were well, the boy I was purported to be friendly with, the one I used to go about with, his father was an income tax inspector, and he was talking to me one day. He said, "You know that Seaman, we used to say surnames, of course.
Right.
Seaman, his father's a bus driver. You know, I mean, we must be not as good as us."
Right.
You know, it was that sort of snobbery thing.
Mm.
So because anyone could be on to be a priest, whatever.
Yeah.
So even a working class person could.
Yeah.
And he was looked down on, not public, but well, it was between me and my friend. I didn't really. I'd never met any working class people, I don't think. I suddenly realized, I began to think then about, bus drivers, people who empty dustbins and all that.
Yeah.
They're people, aren't they? Sort of, you know.
Yeah.
It began to sort of, I think that's when it sort of started coming to me that they were human beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you're a child, you're in the world you're in.
Yeah.
You don't start thinking
You
about
are.
the other worlds.
No, absolutely. And you have the
And
thoughts.
so
that
it
people-
gradually comes on you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Or not.
Or not, yes. And of course, when I went to the first school I went to, Abingdon, that was pretty ordinary, I think. There were boarders, we were boarding, there were day boys as well, and presumably they were people who could afford to pay the fees.
Yeah.
But so I suppose they were all sort of semi middle class,
Yeah.
lower middle class,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Do you remember when we lived at Sunnyside and we had a guy come to stay with us from Africa?
I do. That was wished on us by my mother. That's,
Right.
Yes,
Linus, he was called.
Linus. Yes, I do remember it.
And I think he was he from the Gold Coast or somewhere?
Yeah,
like
I
that?
think it was. I think it was Gold Coast. Yeah, I think it was Ghana.
And was he a priest in something like that, or?
I don't think so. I don't know where my mother got hold of him from,
Right.
but she was besotted with anything. She at one stage she wanted to be a missionary,
Right.
but she never made it somehow. And I think she was besotted with black people or African people. I don't know how she got hold of him. Presumably he was Catholic, and she
Yeah.
met him in church or something.
Yeah, yeah, it was all linked.
And
to
then she wished him on to us for a week or two, which was quite an experience.
yeah,
But the funny thing was, also we were friendly with an Austrian girl, weren't we, at the time? And I can't quite remember. Apparently he made some inappropriate approaches to this girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I didn't know anything about it. Mum sort
oh,
of spotted it,
oh, right.
and I think it was a bit of trouble. Whether his mum stopped it or what, I don't quite know. But
Goodness.
that was all. But
Oh, well, that's news to me.
well, yes, Mum found it. Mum sort of told me about it.
Oh,
Because in those days, that was quite early on, wasn't it? When I don't know, before David Booth came on the scene.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think we were
yeah.
still moderately happy then.
Yeah, that would be like 56, 57,
Yeah,
I
probably,
should
yes.
think.
Yes.
And the other thing that happened at Sunnyside in that sort of similar era was that we had some lodgers.
That's right, yes. That was another disaster somehow. They were wished, well, I think we thought they were wished on us by the Catholic priest,
Right,
Father Roddy.
right,
But he swore afterwards he never did. But I don't know.
right.
I don't know why we got them, or how we got them.
Well,
Maybe
it must have been for money.
money. It must have been for money, I think. But they got more than their money's worth. But I think they stole some.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
Yes.
So that it's funny, isn't it? How it was already quite a small house,
Yeah.
and then we let half of it out.
I know. I don't know how we managed really. It's amazing what things. Yeah, I'd forgotten about them.
The Havels, they were called. Mr. and Mrs. Havel, I think they were called.
I believe they were. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I can't really remember. I think she had like a perm.
I can't remember any details like that.
Yeah.
But that was another stupid thing, a disaster.
I think some of the nicest things, my highlights of Sunnyside were the front garden.
Yeah,
Occasionally looked amazing. I remember once it was full of dahlias.
yeah, I remember that.
That was just.
I never achieved
spectacular.
it again.
No, well, that's dahlias for you, isn't it? They're
Yes.
kind of
I lost them. I
they're
suppose.
hard to do. Aren't
Yes, that's right. Yes, I remember that. It was. We
they?
did
It was
quite
just
well with it.
beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And there were so many different types.
Yes.
And they were,
Well, my first job on the nursery, they had dahlias, and I was still taken with them. And
yeah.
they're lovely for bunching up and selling it. I
Yeah.
still sold a lot of those. But yes, I never sort of achieved that again. But
Then I think you planted it up as a rose garden at one point.
Did I? Might have done. I can't remember.
That never really made it. I don't think.
No, I don't think it did. No, I think it failed after that. Mum had a saying, we were trying to remember this saying the other day. Gardening is 9 months hard work and 3 months failure or
Yeah,
something.
something
I
like
can't
that,
remember,
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
We're trying to remember the exact word.
Yeah.
Because Mum had these sayings and she'd come out with them over and over again.
Yeah.
We still can't quite remember it, but there's something
Yeah.
of that. And I mean, I must have had some successes.
There was some. I mean, I can remember the greenhouses full of tomatoes.
Yes.
Just lovely.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And
They do quite well.
The smell of those tomatoes, you just can't get tomatoes like that these days.
No, you can't. They were lovely. We were, yes, I don't know why, but they were very good.
I don't know if you did that year after year or if it was just.
Oh, I did it for. Well, that was my main source of income, really,
Yeah.
because I only made something like £40 or something, but £40 was quite a lot of money in those days.
Yeah.
The chickens.
The chickens were quite a big deal, weren't they?
Yes, they did all right, but till the end I had a disaster. We had some that didn't do very well, so we saw people advertising wanted chickens to kill. To eat.
Yeah.
So we sold them, and they said cash, immediate cash. So we had these people came, took the chickens. I held up my hand for the cash. Oh, we'll send it to you. Next day I heard they'd gone broke.
Oh.
And I said, you said, but I went to the solicitor. I said, is it any good trying to sue them? No, he said, it would cost you more to sue them than it was the money you're trying to get back. So I lost that, 40 quid.
I never knew that.
And then we lost 40 quid on that. And 40 quid was a heck of a lot of money in those days.
That's the kind of situation. I mean, I've been in situations, not necessarily like that, but where you run a business and you make so much money, and then you make one mistake and you lose the whole lot, and you just think, well, that's completely pointless. What I've just done.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, well, that really was a disaster.
And then you had the pigs.
Yeah, well, that was.
Did they ever make any money?
Well, I think we might have made some money, but that was another thing. You see, Thomas, trying to help us, gave us a pig.
Yeah.
Dillis.
Yeah.
She had a couple of litters, I think, but that was difficult because I had to take her to the boar and all that.
Yeah.
But she did have a couple of litters, and I think I must have made a bit of money on it, but I'm not a stockman.
No.
I'm more of a gardener.
Yeah. Because at one point we ended up with a cow, didn't we?
Oh, that. People were trying to help, but they were a pain. That was the Grail.
I know.
They gave us that little Dexter cow.
Tansy.
Yeah, well, that was. But anyway, I managed to sell that to the lady who kept the post office in East End.
Oh, right.
So I don't know if I made any money out of it, but don't expect so. But she gave me £5 for it. So I don't know what she gave me for it. I can't remember.
You were just glad to get rid of it.
Yeah, I was glad to get rid of it. Well, we didn't have room for a cow, even a little cow. So stupid. Oh, Grail, impractical. Trying to help. Anyway, that was
So what? So that pretty much covers the Well, you did the daffodils. They were good, weren't
Oh,
they?
the daffodils were definitely a good thing. Yes.
Yeah, I remember you driving off with box loads of them to Oxford.
Yes, but funny, you see, they used to have to bunch them in 12s.
Yeah,
Nowadays, they just give you the buds.
yeah,
It's so much better, but they must last much longer.
yeah,
We had to sell them full out.
yeah. That's weird.
And they kind of lasted long.
No, but I suppose they were fresh, weren't they?
They were fresh, yes. That was the
they would.
that was the way it was done. You had to bunch them a certain way.
Yeah, they
for
looked
us,
lovely, didn't they?
Oh, they looked nice, yes.
And all that tissue paper and
Yes.
and the smell of them was nice.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like doing that.
But the
sort of thing.
packing must have cost you a fortune. Those cardboard boxes, and it was all
Well,
professionally done.
yeah, I think. Well, we had a good florist in St Ebbs in Oxford, and I think she probably helped us out quite a lot.
Oh, right.
She took out all sorts of flowers and stuff from us,
Oh, really?
and probably lent us boxes. I wouldn't be
okay.
surprised. I can't remember.
So how did you get your clients like that? Was that?
Well, I'm not a good salesman. I was hopeless, really. I'd go to shops, kind of show, we'd like some daffodils.
Oh, okay.
It was Mr. Quelch, who had a greengrocer's shop in Whitney.
Right.
He bought stuff from me,
Right.
and I used to have to go. And there was a little florist down the street here, Corn Street,
Oh, right.
and they used to buy stuff from me. But an awful lot of running about,
Yeah.
bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And we had sold stuff at the gate.
Yes. I remember that. A little
Yeah.
black cupboard.
Yes, and people would come for a lettuce and you had to go down the garden and cut a lettuce. Mum was always moaning about that. She'd come along, maybe can I have a lettuce? Go down the garden, get a lettuce, fourpence please. all that work for fourpence. But every fourpence helped, I must admit.
Well, yeah.
But,
You've got to do something, haven't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but money was very different then, but yeah, but it was, we must have, we certainly didn't make a living at it, but we must have made some money,
Yeah.
but not enough money.
I mean, there were times when it looked like it was really happening.
Oh,
That-
yes.
that first little greenhouse on the left as you went down
Yes.
the slope there. One time I remember that being full of bedding plants.
Yes,
And I don't know whether they were for you to plant out or to sell. But
maybe for sale. Oh, we sold quite a lot of bedding plants.
yeah, so there was stuff
Yeah,
going
yes,
on.
there was stuff going on. Mum did a lot of the pricking out.
Yeah,
I didn't, I mean, I was quite happy to have done it myself, but
yeah,
she sort of took it on
yeah.
and then moaned forever after that she did all the work.
That's right, yeah.
I really suffered. But yeah, we must have made quite a lot of money out of all that. But it wasn't enough. That's why I had to do work for Whitney Dairies and then take on my own milk round.
Yeah, but that kind of was almost a natural progression.
It was, yes. So, but yes, by the time Mum was due to leave, I was doing quite well.
Yeah,
We'd sort of turned the corner and had enough money to give Mum a bit more
yeah.
housekeeping money and so on.
So you were saying yesterday that you couldn't exactly sell the business, but you did get some money for the milk float.
Well, I can't remember whether they gave me anything for the goodwill. I shouldn't think they would. Because it was a nuisance to them.
Yeah.
Because they lost all that trade to the co-op or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
yeah.
it was County Dairies and they had their wholesale milk business.
Yeah.
And they delivered the milk to these individual milkmen.
Mm. What was that grey milk float, or was it a different one? Because I remember.
Was it grey? It probably was grey. Yes, a Bedford.
Bedford, yeah.
That's
yeah.
right, yeah. It broke down several times.
And did you run that and a car?
Car?
Or van?
van.
Another
I
small
didn't
van?
progress the car for a long time. Yes, at one time I had 2 vehicles,
Right.
which was quite a relief. Actually, I didn't. I think for a time I only had milk floats, so we weren't very mobile. But then
Yeah.
eventually I did progress to two vehicles, and then then of course it all broke up. So
Yeah, I can kind of slightly remember not being able to go anywhere because there's only milk float.
yeah, I think I gave the van up in favour of milk float because the van wasn't big enough. Wasn't really handy for delivering milk. A van.
No, we were forever opening the back doors.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had enough. I had to carry enough milk to warrant having a milk van.
Yeah.
But, yes, I didn't. Then I bought another van, I think, and eventually I progressed to a car, Morris. I think I have a Morris 1000, I suppose.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah.
Which gave up the ghost eventually.
Yeah.
Talking of cars, one of my memories of Padbury was you had a Triumph Mayflower and you wanted another one to spare for the spare parts, and I wanted me to help you. You towed me, and you wanted me to hold the steering wheel, and you towed me from somewhere to Padbury with this thing.
Right.
I was terrified. you can't tow with ropes these days.
No, you're not allowed to do that anymore.
No, but it was swaying about. It was terrible.
I know.
I was new in your teenage years.
I absolutely loved that whole the world of transport.
Yes.
Motorbikes, scooters, cars.
Yes, yeah.
I would quite happily have been a mechanic and had a garage, I think.
Yeah, you probably would.
But never happened.
No.
But I had so much fun with those cars in the early days.
Mm.
That I had a Series E Morris 8, and then I had a Hillman. Well, it wasn't a Minx, but it was like a Minx.
Oh yeah,
Californian or something. They called it. Had a lot of chrome on it. I ended up with that Mayflower. That was
really I remember the Triumph Mayflower. It was a nice looking car.
and I sold that for £40 just before I went to India.
Oh, did you? Mm.
And I had to have some money to go.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just fantastic. Those old cars, you could do all the work on them yourself.
Oh, I know. You can't now.
No.
Cars are awful now. It depends on electronic machinery in the garage. You can't do anything, can you?
No, not at all. No. Which is, in a way, to me, is quite a relief. To be
Well,
honest.
I suppose so, yes.
If it goes wrong, you just buy.
I remember once drove my mother down to Cedric's. Only had a van,
Yeah.
no heater. It was cold. And halfway down, the exhaust went. There was such a noise. I arrived at Cedric's with this awful noise. And he got his hands, he went underneath and patched it up with stuff. You could get stuff to patch it up.
Yeah.
He said, no, it's really good to get my hands dirty again. He said. But it didn't last very long. I had to eventually buy a new exhaust.
Yeah.
But in those days, I couldn't afford to buy a new exhaust. It was like that.
Yeah. No, I know. When you're skinned, I mean,
You have to put up with all sorts.
yeah.
But yet you're not allowed to drive around with a noisy exhaust. But it was patched up. I patched it up again myself, I think, and then eventually I suppose I had to have one or change the car or something. But
Yeah.
it was and I drove my mother down there and had to drive her back, and so Phyllis gave her a hot water bottle to hold in that while we drove off because there was no heater and didn't have luxuries in those days in the cars.
The heaters that were in them were rubbish.
Oh yes, I think there was a heater but it didn't work, sort of thing. Oh dear, I suffered. So when I eventually had a proper car,
A decent car.
it was wonderful. I had a car.
Yeah. I still buy. I still personally prefer to buy old bangers.
Mm.
I tried to move up market with cars, but when they go wrong, and you lose so much money if you've got good a car. But if you've got an old banger that you buy cheap, it goes wrong, you don't lose anything really. You just buy another one.
That's right.
So that works well for me, really. That.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad we talked about cars because I did think it was something we ought to talk about.
Didn't come here to talk about cars.
Well, in some ways, like your first car was interesting.
That little green van.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thomas, that's another story. I never know. Thomas had been stuck in a barn all through the war.
Yeah.
It was pre-war.
Right.
1938.
Yeah.
So I drove it down from Lambaden to here on L plates because Thomas was the driver, but
Yeah.
he obviously couldn't have driven it.
Right.
And when I got it down here, I took it to a garage to be serviced. He said, "You're lucky with this car, you know. We went to drain the oil out of something, all of us holding thinking it was a wooden plug in the bottom of the."
Whoa.
He said, obviously they'd lost the plug and just stuck a bit of wood in.
Goodness. You got away with that.
That's farmers in Radnorshire for you.
Yeah.
But so I got away with it. But I mean, if that had blown out and dropped out on the way down, the thing would have seized up.
Yeah. So did that lasted you quite a while though, didn't it?
We
that
did,
one?
yes.
It was a good
Well, I
one.
couldn't afford to buy anything else.
No.
I mean, in the end, I had to buy something else because something bigger.
Yeah, I think you bought a Ford.
A Ford, yes, a
red and green.
red and green Ford
Yeah.
with no windows in the back. I had to have
Yeah.
the windows put in,
Oh right.
but it was very expensive.
Right. And then I think that then there was something else, and then the next thing was the grey milk float. I think
I think so, yes.
the fourth one. I can't remember what the third one was.
No, I can't.
And then at one point you had a little blue van that was really sweet. That had
Yes.
seats in the back and windows. I think.
Oh yes, I had that. That's right. Yes, I don't know what it was.
That was
Morris, I think.
Yeah.
I think I mostly had Morris's, except for the Bedford van, milk float. Yeah, that was quite a nice little car. That one, sort of semi-van.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that would probably be my pick if I could have any of them.
Yes, but it was quite. Well, I had eventually went to have a Morris Marina, terrible car.
Oh yeah.
And then we had a Morris Maxi,
Yeah, even worse.
or an Austin Maxi. Terrible thing, the gearbox is awful. You had to grind it in. You crash some gears in all the time. And it had hardly any lock on it.
Right.
Maxi, you know, it was too difficult. The Marina was very manoeuvrable.
Yeah.
You had to go a very tight turning circle.
Yeah.
When I came to drive the Maxi, you couldn't turn a corner at all. It was
I think
terrible.
that was really the almost the end of the great British industrial era, wasn't it?
It was,
I think
yes, that's right, yes.
The Maxi and the Allegro and,
Yes.
and the Marina were like, that was
The dying efforts.
everybody realised at that point we'd lost it.
Yes, definitely. And we've definitely lost it. We're losing even more now. Because
Yeah.
Honda's
Yeah,
closing
yeah,
at
they're all
Swindon.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Okay, that's great, Dad. I think that was I'll just turn this off. I hope it's been recorded.